Happy Father's Day and welcome to Fury Fighting Championship 92 in the hot and humid Houston, Texas. We are here at Imagine Venues and we have got an unbelievable all-pro card. I am Black Belt Mike, also known as Mike Alexander, and I'm here with UFC welterweight Alex Morono, who is also my father. Alex, I know you're excited about the way this card starts off.
Yeah, all-pro undercard. Joe Hendershot, one of my guys, making his long-awaited pro debut. He was the featherweight Fury amateur champion. Cannot wait to see him get underway. He's fighting a guy from 4-ounce, Denzel, Rosaroso. He's a banger as well. That's going to be an awesome fight.
Yeah, also on the card, Demon Hands, Damien Anderson. It's crazy that he's called Demon Hands. Damien is one of the best grapplers in the world. But he does have a devastating right hand, so I can't wait to see that fight. Let's go in here and meet our first fighter with the best-dressed man in the industry, Wayne Leggett.
Good afternoon, fight fans, and welcome to Escapade at Imagine Venues. This is Fury FC 92, Piccinini versus Pac. But first, please welcome to the blue corner for your opening preliminary contest, Denzel Rosaroso.
Here we go. Fury Fighting Championship 92 is underway. Our first fighter, Denzel Rosaroso. Denzel making his pro debut here. 2 debuts here. I'm joined today, right now, for the first few fights by Fury featherweight and maybe lightweight, Jake Heffernan.
Yes,
Jake
sir.
Rosaroso coming in here on short notice. Last-minute opponent change. 5-1 as an amateur. What does this do for a guy coming to make his pro debut on short notice here?
Honestly, nothing but opportunity in front of him. Guys who make short notice calls like this, it's a risk, but it's a risk versus reward. Is the risk high? Is the reward high? This is one of those high reward risks.
Yeah,
it's always awesome when guys are able to take that risk.
Yeah, Jake, especially since, you know, the guy he's fighting, Joe Hendershot, Fury amateur champion. I mean, this could be a big statement fight. If he was able to come out here and get this job done today, I mean, Rosaroso automatically becomes a contender in this weight class, I would imagine.
Yeah, Joe is one of those blue chip prospects. Always fun to watch him fight, but it's always fun to watch him get tested. Especially going pro at 155, which is not his normal weight class, but something he's always down for. Again, it's one of those situations where they both have such good opportunity in front of them.
Yeah, anytime you have this, where there's a guy making his debut, it's on short notice. I mean, he made weight at 145, so it looked like he was training anyway. So big opportunity here for Denzel Rosaroso. Let's meet his opponent right now. Let's go inside to Wayne.
Please welcome Joe Hendershot to the red corner.
Here we go, Joe Hendershot, the Fury amateur 145 champion. Jake, this guy's not shown a lot of holes in his game. Very good on the feet, very good grappler. Even though just a purple belt, his MMA grappling is maybe some of the best in the division.
You know, Joe's one of those guys that's been training since he was a kid. He made a choice to wrestle in high school, which I think is something that all jiu-jitsu practitioners, if you have the opportunity, you should do. And he's been with Coach Matt Wald since the very beginning of his martial arts career. So we're not talking about a guy who's a 6-year purple belt. We're talking about a guy who's got over a decade of training. So it's one of those exciting situations where you really get to see a lifetime martial artist show his skill.
Yeah, Joe is one of those guys that I compare to the way the Brazilians were 20 years ago. They've been training since they were 5. All the best guys in the world were Brazilian, and it's because they started training at such a young age. We're just now in this generation getting those guys like maybe Alex Morono, his other coach, is one of the first guys that didn't do anything else. He started training at 15 years old, doing nothing but MMA, started fighting at 17. Joe Hendershot, one of those guys also. Our tail of the tape, Denzel Rosaroso, 26, Hendershot, 21. Both made the weight limit at 155. 1-inch height advantage for Rosaroso and a 3-inch reach advantage.
Ladies and gentlemen, your opening preliminary contest, brought to you by TanunaLawFirm.com, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC lightweight division. Introducing your first competitor, fighting out of the blue corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, and he weighed in at 154.6 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, by way of Hanford, California, today he makes his professional debut. Here is Denzel Rosaroso. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, and he weighed in at a perfect 155 pounds. Fighting out of the Woodlands, Texas, today he too makes his professional debut. Here is Joe Killshot Hendershot. Your referee in charge of the action, JJ Ferraro.
Veteran referee. 2 145 prospects making their debut. Hendershot coming right out with a flying knee.
That's a bold statement right there. Let me let you understand what you're getting into. Love it. The Rosas being patient, not getting started too early. I like that as well.
Yeah, anytime I'm looking at somebody's record, especially on their short notice, we didn't have a lot of time to watch some of his previous fights, but you see that 3 of his 5 wins as an amateur were by decision, and typically I always try to make myself believe that means they don't take a ton of chances. They're very careful. They're very, it doesn't have anything to do with their skill, just has to do with their level of what they're willing to risk. And obviously, Joe Hendershot willing to put it all out there right off the bat.
That's right. Rosas being patient, I think that's important. Short notice fight. Okay, right into the takedown. Beautiful takedown by Joe. Rosas framing really well. Again, I like when these guys take these short notice fights and they don't gas out too early. They're taking their time, being patient. It's very important on a situation like this.
Yeah, and I think there's one of 2 approaches. There's either the approach that I've got 30 good seconds in me. I'm going to go lay it all out there for 30 seconds, or I'm going to take my time and try to take this as deep as possible. And that's really difficult to do.
That to me shows a little bit of, know-how and experience. Like, don't want to gas out, want to take my time. If you can warm yourself into the fight, you'll do better as time goes on.
Yeah, Hendershot giving a little bit of space to Rosaroso, and Rosaroso able to get back to his feet. Again, looking very relaxed in there. Both guys savvy. Both guys had a good amount of amateur fights. This is their first shot at that 5-minute round.
That was a beautiful head kick, blocked by Joe, but very good setup. I always like to see these amateurs that go pro, the patience. They're not in there throwing big overhand rights nonstop. They're taking their time. They're establishing their range and distance. Another shot attempt from Joe.
Yeah, Rosaroso stuffing that takedown attempt there. Stuffing the double leg. Hendershot staying on it.
This is playing straight into where Joe wants to be. The pressure against the cage.
Well, one thing we can both vouch for is Joe Hendershot's cardio. He's not going to run out of gas here in this fight. 5-minute round, whatever it is, his cardio is great.
Rosas is coming out a 4-ounce fighter. Very good gym, very good coaches. We know that they wouldn't give an opportunity to him or ask him to take this fight if he wasn't ready.
Yeah, I think he had to be training, because even as you're watching him, he looks fresh, he looks good, he looks very crisp, especially for a debut. A lot of times it's, some of the amateurs have had more fights like both of these guys, especially the type of fights they've had. Especially Joe's had a lot more had some high-level amateur fights because he's the champ. So worked his way up, has fought a championship fight.
And Joe's also had good competition. He's fought black belts. He's done well against them.
Yeah, and rolling with Joe is pretty amazing. As a 145er, puts a lot of pressure for a 145-pound purple belt.
He also looks very good at 55.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they don't have to make those harder cuts, so we're going to see a better fight. You're going to see guys that can throw more and get less tired, and you're going to see guys that can take a little more damage as well.
Yeah, big knee, and you can tell Rosaroso looks like closer to a pure 155 fighter, and maybe he just didn't have a lot of time to cut weight, but he is bigger than Joe, but so far Joe having his way with him.
I think there's also, again, you got to get that warm going. Rosas doesn't want to wrestle too early or put too much energy output too early. Inside the last minute of the round, 30 seconds. Rosas got that pressure against the cage. It was a smart tactic, I do think.
Yeah, making Joe carry his weight a little bit, putting a lot of pressure on him on the cage. It's not taking too much damage.
Kind of chipping away at the iceberg, too. You got to sometimes break them down slow before you're going to land those big shots.
Oh.
Spinning back fist to end the round.
Denzel might have took that last second or two off there to finish the round and ate a spinning back fist. Good thing it was a little closer to his elbow than it was the actual fist, because that hit with some force. Let's go to these highlights.
Some solid work on the wrestling from Joe. The setups were good. The striking to takedowns was good. Again, Rosas staying very patient, though. You know, he's not overdoing it. He's taking his time, finding his range, and maybe finding a little bit of that wrestling defense in the mix. He did stuff a takedown. And that spinning back fist to end the round is definitely a way to seal the deal.
Yeah, you got to wonder, I mean, that was really close to hitting near his elbow. You hit with that elbow with that arm straight, it could be devastating. You know, you bend the elbow, it could be devastating to your opponent. It could be devastating to you. You hit him with the elbow with a straight arm.
That is one of the things that we practiced a lot at the gym is make sure you're not hitting the wrong spot on those spins.
Yeah, you want to make sure that the distance is correct for those spinning elbows.
Little glove touch to start it out. Again, right back on that jab. Love seeing it from both fighters. Solid, straight punch work.
Yeah, nice slip and rip combinations there from Joe Hendershot. Rosaroso landing also.
It's a good up down from Joe. He's going high, he's going low. I like the combination work, hands to feet. Rosas keeping that pressure up, though. He does have Joe on the back to the cage.
This guy's landing with equal force, that left hook. You got to wonder, as you go deeper into this second round, is Rosaroso going to fade, or are we right? Has he been training for a fight and just decided to take this one?
I like his patience. He's not in there unloading unnecessarily. And Joe's staying right on, keeping up with the striking. I'd like to see him get off the cage, but he looks like he is finding that comfortability.
Yeah, Joe landing some pretty devastating combinations. Now he's got his back. This is where you do not want Joe Hendershot, is on your back. Rosaroso doing a good job of using the cage to try to keep that inside hook from coming in, but Joe's almost there. He's almost got it. Both hooks are in.
We have a full back take.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for Denzel Rosaroso.
Now, I will tell you, I am a fan of throwing punches to set up your escapes when you have the back taken.
Oh,
but
there it is. That's
it.
it.
To a wrong situation. Oh. Looks like Joe wanted to readjust and lost it. Rosas needs to get his shoulders to the mat in order to spin through.
Yeah, typically I tell everybody, if you want to get out of the rear naked choke, you got to be able to use your hands. So you have to get in a position where you're unchokeable. So you can use those hands for a second. They're going to try to reposition you to get you back in front of them, but you got to be in an unchokeable position or you're going to get caught.
And you notice he's also controlling the arm, and then when that gate arm goes up to finish is where we're going to switch over. That's the best option, in my opinion, for fighting against those chokes.
Yeah, and also we don't see it a ton, but I like to push my heels toward my butt and pull on their head and just make it as uncomfortable as possible when they're in this position and just become rigid to where their spine's out. They're trying to move forward. It's really, really difficult when you misalign their spine and their head for them to have any core strength at all.
Looks like Rosas is landing some shots from that back position. And again, those are one of those things we're chipping away until we can maybe set up our escape. It doesn't seem to be affecting Joe too much. Not a lot of power output when we're throwing those backward punches. But it's enough to be annoying and set yourself in for an escape. Oh, now we got a body triangle from Joe. Those are miserable to be in.
I mean, not only is it tight around your core, it zaps the energy out of you to try to, while you're breathing, while you're doing this, you got to switch sides typically to get out of it. Really, really difficult. Switching sides carries 100% of your opponent's weight whenever you're trying to switch sides.
I see Rosas, he's communicating with his corner. He's staying calm and patient, and then he's go ahead and force the get up. Ooh, big slam from Joe.
Yeah, great use of the cage there on the get up.
You see Rosas shook it off. He didn't acknowledge anything affecting him. We got a rolling knee bar situation going on.
Yeah, it looked like he was diving for that heel.
They're trying to force that Granby roll for an escape.
And again, Rosaroso doing a good job of using the cage to defend Joe Hendershot from fully taking his back. He's given a little bit too much distance here. Joe being patient, taking his time.
It does look like a little bit of frustration seems to be setting in for Rosas as he shakes his head no.
Joe giving us a little smile over here in the commentator booth.
And he's just chipping away at the iceberg. And this is what we do. That's that kind of grappler style where we're just kind of zapping the gas tank, chipping away, causing little bits of damage. Beautiful round for Joe. Rosas definitely still in it. Didn't make any mistakes on the back.
Yeah, second round highlights are a little bit more of the same, a lot more groundwork from Joe Hendershot, but both guys landed some good combinations to start this round.
They both looked very poised. I did notice Rosas' hands were down, which I think did kind of set in play for that takedown to start off the onslaught for the back take.
And we see Joe Hendershot being very patient here. And a big slam.
Very physical.
Yeah, and man, landing right on that shoulder. If he's not feeling it right now, he's going to feel that one tomorrow.
Now third round in is where we're really kind of looking to see where's the gas tank for Rosas. Again, much respect to him for taking a short notice fight. This is one of those situations where you let that warrior spirit take over and you push through. And it looks like I see it.
And both guys look fairly fresh. Of course, Hendershot looks like the fresher of the two. And, Joe's been training for his debut for a long time. This is his third opponent, actually fourth now, because his last opponent backed out for whatever reason or dropped off. And, there's a number of reasons that can happen. You can get sick, you can, get hurt in training, but finally making the pro debut here for both these guys.
I was talking to Joe yesterday, and he was so excited to just hit that pro athlete status, that 1%er. So exciting for both these guys to be able to go home, no matter what tonight, and say, I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah, and even if it's not the millions of dollars he'll probably earn in his career, it's getting a check after you leave here. It's a big deal, man.
That is something. That was a big punch landed from Rosas. We do see Joe stuck on the cage now. Rosas again, that warrior spirit coming through. He's finding that second wind on that gas tank and pushing through.
Yeah, Rosaroso starting to land here in the third round. Unofficially, I've got Joe up, winning the first two rounds. So, if unofficially, if it were, in my opinion, Rosaroso needs a finish here to win this fight.
True.
It's going to be very difficult for him to get it. He's shown from this position, though.
That's the right start from Joe. You're getting a little bit landed on, maybe getting a little too comfortable. but then you just go back to the game plan. Go back to what you're good at. We got a solid jiu-jitsu wrestler, and we see a solid double leg off a combo attempt.
Rosaroso with those annoying open hand slaps to the eardrum. And it doesn't seem like it would, but those hurt.
Yeah, anything to make that space I need to dig that underhook. So it's just one of those things where if I can get an inch of space from a small reaction, and let me tell you, when your eardrum gets slapped, it does not feel good. Another exciting thing is that you get to throw elbows as a pro.
Yep, here's a guillotine attempt from Joe Hendershot.
Mounted guillotine.
Yeah, he's on top now. That glove is under the neck. That's very, very tight.
Very tight. Rosas able to survive. Hard to finish the double-armed mounted guillotine. Generally, you want to actually pop one hand out and use it to help yourself to finish. And again, Rosas staying patient, staying calm. That's one of those things that being calm can actually get you out of those situations, because you just wait until either the right moment slips through or the right space is created.
Yeah, Hendershot, knowing how valuable this space is, not giving him an inch yet.
I'd like to see Rosas try to use that cage, maybe get his legs a little bit more active and try to force himself up. We got him teeing off now.
Hendershot landing 7 or 8 unanswered ground and pound shots to the head.
Oh, another big toss from Joe. Minute and a half left in the fight. This is the time to empty out that gas tank. Rosas right in his corner, receiving information from his coaches. Got Artinius Chico Young, super Houston vet. I can only assume the information is golden from here. This is, if I was in this position, that's where I would want to be, is right in front of my corner.
Yeah, if Joe decides to pick him up again, he needs to take him to the other side of the cage and go get some coaching from his corner next time.
That's right. And we got a big crowd here for Joe.
Rosaroso trying to roll through again. Joe goes back to mount.
And Mount, again, getting to throw those elbows for the first time.
That's bad position here for Denzel Rosaroso. I mean, if this round ends like this, I mean, this pretty much secures the round and maybe the fight for Joe Hendershot.
Oh, we got another rear naked choke attempt.
Oh, that's deep.
That is very deep.
Yeah, he's trying that gable grip finish here. Let's see, 10 seconds. Oh, he taps.
Look at the tap.
He taps.
Congratulations to Joe Hendershot. Much respect to Rosas. He took that fight on short notice, guys. That's one of those situations where, again, he had nothing but opportunity in front of him. But big congratulations to Joe. Getting a new opponent last second can be a scary thing and a big risk. And he showed that no matter who it is, he's ready to take him on.
Yeah, what a great debut for Joe Hendershot, to have a little bit of adversity, to, have a bigger opponent, to have this kind of opponent that was really game, that was bigger than him, and to come in here and go get some experience, some pro experience. They almost went the full 15 minutes.
And honestly, the beginning of the third was looking kind of good for Rosas, like he found that second win.
Man, and it ended as soon as Joe did that double leg and got this to the mat. As soon as they went to the ground, the Joe Hendershot show started again, and with 10 seconds or less left, able to get that rear naked choke. He's got that gable grip, pulling on that, pushing those hips forward, and gets the tap. Yeah, he was definitely going to go to sleep if he didn't tap there. Too much time left on the clock. Takes about 8 seconds if you're fresh. So whenever you're tired, it's even less. Let's go inside and make it official with Wayne Leggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes. 4 minutes, 52 seconds into the third and final round. Declaring your winner by tap out due to a rear naked choke, Joe Killshot Hendershot.
coach and commentator Alex Morono going to interview his own
let's
guy.
hear it for Joe's opponent, Denzel. He took this fight on like 5 days' notice. All right, guys, I'm here with your winner, Killshot. Killshot, you got the nickname because you went 6-1 as an amateur, all finishes. We thought we'd maybe see a decision, but you found the finish. You know, what were you thinking going into the last minute of that last round?
Going into the last minute, I thought I was going to still find the finish. I'm always looking for it in the fight, so as soon as it presented itself, I was just ready to jump on it.
Nice, yeah, you're a great professional, you guys. This is his third opponent in like a month, guys, pulled out. That's why we're so grateful for Denzel. Denzel's a real class act and martial artist. Joe, when do you want to fight again?
Man, as soon as possible. I'm going to assess the damage of my body, but I love fighting. I'll do it as often as I can, so soon.
Nice, you guys. Joe's only 21 years old. The future is bright for this young one. You guys, your winner, Killshot.
I just want to give all the glory to God, and I also want to say Happy Father's Day to my dad. Thank you, Dad. I love you.
What a nice message there from Joe Hendershot. 4 minutes, 52 seconds in the third round. So he got some pro experience, Jake. He got the finish. You know, again, props to Rosaroso for coming in here on 5 days' notice. It was a great fight.
That's honestly great experience for both of them. You know, unfortunate loss for Rosas, but he took a big risk, and honestly, got nothing but opportunity in front of him because of taking that big risk. And he's gonna be able to fight for Fury, get more fights because he's doing favors for the company. And that's always a good choice from these guys. You know,
and it sets a standard too for kind of how the promotion. You said it. You know, you're kind of being a company guy. We hear it in the UFC all the time. You know, these company guys that will stand up, that will come up on short notice. Alex Pereira doing it again. You know, coming up in UFC 303. And speaking of Fury and speaking of company, man, let's look and see what the schedule is for the upcoming schedule. July 12th, Fury 93 is in San Antonio, Texas. And then we're right back here for 94 on July 21st, right here at Imagine Venues. Submission Hunter Pro comes to Houston, Texas. Submission Hunter Pro in Houston again on July 28th. So looking forward to this calendar. Big month of July coming for Fury Fighting Championship. I know that middleweight championship is on the line at that July 21st card. July 12th, San Antonio. Cannot wait to get there at the Techport Arena, I believe, again.
Yep.
Beautiful venue.
that is actually an extremely nice venue.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite venues to call fights at. But Fury Fighting Championships, man, keeps putting on the shows, keeps putting people into the UFC, keeps putting people on the Contender Series. We won't make any more predictions about who's going, but we do know that we are sending them. We got Cody Steele, we got Michael Aswell coming up on this season so far, but only a few of the episodes are full, so there's still some spots on the Dana White Contender Series, and that's my favorite part about Fury Fighting Championship and these fights during the beginning of the summer is that you know all these guys are taking big fights and they're looking for knockouts because they want to get to that next level.
I mean, you can see it just by this is a full pro card. There's no amateurs on this card. You know, first fight of the night is two pro debuts. Nothing but opportunity in front of these guys, but it shows something when you have so many pro fights. So it's a situation where opportunities in front of them. I have been fighting for Fury since day one. I have been fighting for Fury when it was cage combat in the amateur series. The show has done nothing but get better and better and better over time. It's honestly like a blessing to be able to fight for this company.
Yeah, you know, being part of the Fight Pass family and being part of the, you know, being part of the UFC and just having that brand inside that cage while you're fighting in there, what kind of effect does it have on you to look down and see that under your feet, Jake?
Honestly, it kind of makes you think of like the other promotions around town. Like, what are they doing for their fighters? How do they treat their fighters? And then you know, for myself, I have fought for other promotions, and honestly, it's not just about the production value of the show. It's how the matchmaker is treating you. It's how the promoter is treating you. And so it's just a situation of when you've experienced promotions that don't quite meet the standard, and then you also, you know, I've cornered for UFC as well. I've seen the big show production value. So it's a situation where you see how close Fury comes into line with that, and that's very important. It's also one of those situations where you run into people maybe around your town and they go, you fight for Fury, don't you? And that's nothing better in the world to be with your kids and have somebody recognize you simply because you fight for Fury.
Yeah.
Joined at the table now by Alex Morono. Alex, congratulations on Joe
thank you.
Hendershot's win.
I barely lost my voice, and the reason we call him Killshot is because he's always finished his fights. In his amateur debut, he got a submission with, like, no joke, maybe 5 seconds left. And then his pro debut, so fitting. And man, again, props to his opponent Denzel. Took the fight on like 6 days' notice. He went 5-1 as an amateur. A weight class up, man. He was looking big and beefy. That was a great fight for both guys. Fights like that will forge them into like veteran, experienced pros.
Yeah, and we were talking about Rosaroso. I mean, props to him. Coming in on 5 days' notice, he looked pretty good.
Yeah,
and
he
the
sure
third
did.
round, I mean, it started off not so great for Joe, but Joe took control of it. It became the Joe Hendershot show. Congratulations,
Oh, man,
Alex.
thank you guys so much.
Let's go inside to meet our next fighter, Dwayne Leggett.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Cameron Presher.
All right, so Cameron, he's a big guy. We actually saw him fight Zach Borrego last, I believe. But, man, he stayed super active. I've actually trained with him a couple times. Much love to the 4-ounce fight team. They have to be the oldest known MMA gym in Houston. Like, when I was a brand new amateur, that was like the scary kids on the block. Maybe a couple years later, once Pineda got signed to the UFC, we started cross-training over there. But, man, they have consistently put out very high-quality fighters. Shout out to Josh Van. Got rescheduled like 6 times in a 2-month span, makes weight. His opponent busts weight negligibly, so they scratch the fight day of. We know he's going to be in there soon, and Cameron's just one of these guys. We see Chico, Houston staple in his corner. Daniel Pineda right there, the man himself. A beacon of hope for Houston, even though he may not want to accept it. But yeah, this team always puts out great fighters and always puts on great fights.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I knew about I knew about 4-ounce, and I knew who Daniel Pineda was from Lone Star Beatdown. This is one of those guys where, I mean, just literally the vet of the vets.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing about Daniel Pineda to me is every fight he's won has been a finish.
Yeah.
Every single one.
And that's over 30 professional finishes. Yeah, he's never won by decision. I think that's an absolutely wild stat. But yeah, man,
He's got to be one of one when it comes to that, Alex.
I think so. I think so.
Well, let's meet his opponent.
Please welcome to the red corner, Manuel Garcia.
Intenso Manuel Garcia, 2-3, 33 years old, fighting out of Monterrey, Mexico, Alex.
So yeah, we're going to see a clash of physical styles. We saw him fight James Ford, who has proven to be a nightmare for anyone inside the Fury cage. So like, I know losses are never fun, but anytime a loss can age well, you know, that's kind of best case scenario against somebody who's beaten you. And Manuel was in, he actually protested a stoppage. It was like a crucifix TKO stoppage, but he wanted to fight. And don't let his shorter demeanor fool you. He's got power, he's got decent cardio, and he's got some experience.
Alex, and he's also fought at heavyweight, light heavyweight, and now going down to middleweight. He said his goal weight is to be at 170.
Yeah, I think that would suit him very well. Props to that man for setting goals and kind of climbing down that weight class ladder.
We've seen a couple of guys in the Fury shows do that. They start a little bit higher, they get a little bit more athletic over time, and they start to realize, like, you know what, I can make these other weights comfortably. I don't have to kill myself during the weight cut, so I'm going to go ahead and perform. And then they perform and they do well.
Yeah, there's a handful of guys in the UFC who actually had wins in 3 weight classes. Houston's own Trevin Giles is one of those guys, but Jared Cannonier started at heavyweight, had some success, went to light heavyweight, had some success, went to middleweight, and he is a top 5 fighter from there. So yeah, it's rare. It's not that rare to see guys drop 1 weight class, but to drop 2, I mean, just goes to show their dedication.
Here's our tale of the tape. 27-year-old Cameron Presher, 6 years younger than 33-year-old Manuel Garcia. This is a catchweight fight at 195, so both guys made weight. 6'2" is Cameron Presher versus 5'6". I think he's a little taller than that, Alex, but an 80-inch reach over 67 for Manuel Garcia. This tale of the tape brought to you by OnlyFans. Let's go in here and make it official with Wayne Leggett.
The following contest, brought to you by OnlyFans, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC at a catchweight of 195 pounds. Introducing your first competitor, fighting out of the blue corner. This mixed martial artist is 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he weighed in officially at 194.8 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, by way of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, he holds a professional record of 1 win, One loss. Here is Cameron Presher. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 6 inches tall, and he weighed in at 196 pounds. Fighting out of Monterrey, Nuevo Leon, today he looks for his 3rd win as a pro. Here is Manuel Denzel Garcia. Your referee in charge of the action, Professor Joe Solis.
Referee Joe Solis making the calls for this fight. And Alex, it's odd seeing a 6'2", and I guess he is 5'6", but it's very odd seeing this height difference.
Yeah, he looks about 5'6". That's what I mean. He'll get in deep. He's got that Mexican style. He'll stand and bang. The man, when you're fighting a 6'2", 295-pound Cameron Presher, you can't really absorb any extra strikes.
Presher staying long too, knowing that he's got the shorter fighter. Those guys go come underneath and throw those big giant hands.
Yeah, Cameron is on that jab and the straight right hands. That's good.
A lot of movement from Presher with feints and fakes. I like that. Manuel staying patient, working the outside a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Cameron maybe tried to use some wrestling, but I know how both guys like to fight. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a 15-minute kickboxing match right here, which is usually pretty fan-friendly, especially here on Father's Day. Ironically, Fury had a show on Mother's Day, which was great. I think it's a little more appropriate, some cage fighting for Father's Day.
I would rather be nowhere else for Father's Day.
Hey, man, me too.
And we need to do a fight night where the fathers fight their daughter's boyfriends. That would be amazing.
I'd watch that.
I don't have to worry about that for a few years, guys. I'm glad about that.
I don't think there's going to be too many takers fighting Jake Heffernan.
And we see the wrestling activate.
Yeah, and he did a really good job, did Cameron, sticking to that double leg.
Good follow through, settling in top side control right where you want to be off of that double leg. Manuel has his neck trapped, but
I think this is one of those things, it's a high-intensity fight. He's got some posture controlling factors here with that little chin strap. He may try to reverse him, but until he gets his legs in play, there's going to be no threat of a choke. If anything, Cameron could try to Von Flue choke him right now.
I was thinking that, but it doesn't look like he's trying to get his hands together, so I think he's more so focusing on the damage and getting his head out.
Position, yeah. Now, being a 4-ounce fighter, I don't know if it's an attribute for all fighters, but I know their coach, their gym, has a tremendous Kimura game. We were actually practicing Kimura defense upstairs before Joe went against the 4-ounce fighter. Nice little regard.
They called Daniel the Kimura King.
Man. Oh, here's a nice little bit of ground and pound there from Cameron.
And he got forehead into the chin. I love the pressure from top from Cameron. It makes it hard to get your shoulders off the mat when you're focusing on getting your chin from being crushed by a forehead.
So, Mike, one thing the 4-ounce guys are good at is that bottom side control turn away, leg trap Americana. I actually showed Joe upstairs, too. I was like, hey, just in case. Because I know one of the 4-ounce guys, I'm telling you guys, some of the craftiest grapplers in Houston. But I saw one guy go to a submission-only match, take bottom side control, and then tap the guy with that leg Americana. It was so weird. And I didn't know what it was. And then I trained with Mike one day, and I very quickly found out exactly what the submission was.
I think we've all found out after we trained with Mike those quick submissions.
Yeah, I tell everybody my jiu-jitsu is not any good, so I got to use magic. So I try those tricks constantly.
My elbow still hurts the last roll. I'm loving the pressure from Presher. What a great name for MMA.
Surprised he doesn't have a fight name yet.
I think it makes itself.
Yeah, Jake, Alex and I have talked about this a lot, that we think you know, both of us agree on this. You cannot give yourself a nickname. That has to be given to you by your teammates.
Nope, I didn't pick mine. I tried at one point, didn't work out.
Yeah.
Alex literally gave me my nickname because he was explaining the way I fight to another person.
Yeah.
When Jake picked it, it was the world's best-looking man, Jake Heffernan.
No, it was the master of disaster, which isn't the worst because he is sometimes put in good situations where weird things happen, but grinding guys out really is the name of the game. And I'll tell you, speaking of grinding out right now, Cameron's doing a good job. Good get up here from Manuel, but Cameron's just all over him. He's got the underhook. He's got the head pressure. Hitting knees. I mean, this is a clear Cameron pressure round.
I'd like to see Manuel dig his underhooks and turn off that cage. Oh, a little elbow. And then a little bit of clinch knees himself.
Manuel landing here.
Yeah, he is. That was a dogfight of the first round. This is where conditioning really does play a huge factor.
Now, I wonder with Manuel, is he feeling the extra weight that Presher probably has? He is a bigger man, so he probably has a little bit of extra.
I think that's something that Manuel has been accustomed to in his career. I'd be surprised if he was ever the bigger fighter in terms of height. Here's the consistency on the double leg. He shoots, gets it stuffed, but then kind of reshoots. Really pulls the legs out.
Manuel landing those knees from the clinch off of his back on the cage, honestly. Like, used that frame well, made the space he needed, and landed what he needed to land.
Yeah, he made the most out of what he could have in that position.
Yeah, Manuel Garcia, I mean, he still looks fresh, still sitting tall on a stool. And so even though spent a lot of time on the bottom, a lot of time under control there, was able to get up at the end of the round, land a few punches or a few knees himself.
So I mean, he got rode out hard in his last fight to Manuel by a good, heavy 205 wrestler. And honestly, coming into the second round, he was fresh. He's about it. You know, one thing about Manuel is he knows what the fight game demands.
Taking their time, both fighters in the beginning again. I always like to see that. Don't get started too early in the round. Establish your jab, get your timing down all over again. Takes about 30 seconds, and then we'll see some more happening. Just like that. Right at that 30-second mark.
And like with the reads and the feints, you can make some really good predictions on how they're going to react as you step in. That's 3 good low kicks there from Manuel. He's kind of going just below the knee, right on the top of the calf. Oh, big body kick there from Cameron.
Manuel's guard is up, and he is looking to hit those counter shots. And I'm wondering maybe a straight punch in the beginning will get him to that mark on those hooks.
I mean, yeah, he's going to have to make Cameron go backwards and then start to come over the top. To reach him with one strike at range is probably not going to happen.
Alex, even though this went to a catch weight, I mean, Cameron Presher's got to be 215 pounds.
He's
there.
A big guy.
Yeah, he's really, really big.
It's like a genuine big 85er. And, you know, he got some great experiences last fight against Borrego. You know, and Borrego's, you know, headlining Fury cards. That comes with some experience.
Yeah, I've said this before, and tell me if you agree, Jake, but the 185ers are the scariest weight class because they walk around as heavyweights.
Yeah.
And they cut down, and they're so big. If you've never seen a Cameron Presher in person, it will amaze you what a 185-pound looks like on fight night.
Yeah, I like to spar with everybody in the gym, but the second that the rounds cause me to get in front of an 85er, I wave my hand up and say, can I get a different training partner, please?
One time we were actually at 4 ounce, and we were sparring. I was going with Chico, then Jake went with the next. About halfway, the Jake was like, hey, stop. I need a new partner. I'm not doing anything for this big man.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Thankfully, Chico did not knock my block off, and he agreed with the partner change. And again, you know, Manuel's working off his back on the cage, but he's landing those short elbows. He's getting those knees in when he needs to. And it's one of those things with these shorter guys is they're finding the mark a little bit easier because they have less limb to throw.
Yeah, less distance to cover. So the only bad thing about his pretty effective knees from his back on the cage is Cameron's also throwing little collar tie uppercuts and knees himself. So if the striking is even, then the advantage, the decision goes to Cameron because he's the one initiating the clinch. He's the one pinning Manuel's back on the cage. So that's where cage control comes in. It's when the striking is even.
I'd like to see Manuel try to use these opportunities to spin himself off of that cage.
Nice body lock. Reacted against pretty quick by Manuel.
Hammer fist to the leg. It's always a, where can I cause damage from everywhere?
2 big knees in a row there from Manuel Garcia. Hard to tell if they affected Cameron Presher because he seemed to go right through him.
Yeah. A lot of times when knees and elbows are thrown at you, you can like move with the strike. So it looks like they connect, and they may, but when you move the same direction as the strike, it takes a lot of the pop-up. So, nice, good left hand there from Cameron. It's like rolling with the punches, but you're moving with the knees.
And what a dirty boxing clinch fight this has turned into here in the second round.
It's hard when you do have the taller fighter that can really lean all of his weight into that cage. So every time you try to take an angle, you're dealing with extra weight on the outside.
Oh, nice elbow there from Cameron.
I think that elbow hurt Garcia a little bit. He looked like he had a little reset there.
That's a good grip on the neck.
Yep.
I mean, this is a good. Oh, no, it's a ninja choke.
Ninja choke.
Oh,
Is Garcia going to end this fight?
He's got to spin. Cameron did a great job. That's textbook ninja choke defense. Do a barrel roll towards the direction of the choke specifically.
Oh, we got a jump knee from Garcia as well.
Man, that was a good attempt. I mean, that made this round a lot closer than it needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, if Garcia is able to follow him down to the mat, I mean, this fight may be over.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a very tight choke. He was able to make the space there with that roll, but that was very, very close. Very tight choke from Garcia. Let's look at the highlights from round 2.
The body kick.
Started well on the striking. Honestly, that cage control and pressure so hard to deal with when you, again, have that taller fighter that can lean all that weight in.
Here's that guillotine. So it started as a chin strap, and then a pretty good guillotine, and now a ninja choke.
Beautiful reaction.
Spun his chin towards the choking hand. There was a fight in the UFC, Josh Koscheck versus Jake Ellenberger. Well, Ellenberger fully locked up the ninja choke, and Koscheck spins the right way, but it was so locked. He didn't get out of it. They ended up falling. The guy actually talked to Jake Ellenberger years after. And he was like, yeah, when he spun, my head hit the ground. He's like, but I wasn't going to let the choke go. He ends up tapping, and it was wild. And I use that fight as an example to my students. Even though you follow all of the rules for submission defense, it's not always going to work. So the best defense is to not allow those locks to get set. I mean, obviously, but hand fighting immediately off of those front chokes really is a great play.
Yeah, and you have to take into account, too, that, especially guys at the highest level or other black belts, they're anticipating what your defense is also.
Yeah.
So they know a little bit. They're kind of playing their offense into your defense sometimes. Wasn't the case there, but if it would have been, it would have been very interesting into the second round.
Absolutely.
I think Presher also felt that ninja choke lock in pretty immediately and knew exactly what to do with that spin.
So going back to his coach, DP Tanner's got one of the gnarliest guillotines you'll ever see, so I'm sure it's something their whole team gets to experience regularly.
Yeah, I've had experienced guys I've gone for subs on, and they've told me after, oh, my coach does that all the time to me, that's why it would not work. And it's one of those frustrating things that you just can't know about.
That was a big right hand from Manuel, but it seemed to light a little bit of a fire under Presher's butt, because the moment he got hit, he started coming forward and throwing punches back himself.
Taking a little more time. Presher's kind of edging his way in, getting those hands started again.
Notice the guys are feeling the pace of the fight, but they still got a good little pep to their step. Manuel with a little bit less footwork, but I think he's just in a bit of, preservation mode right now. He's just waiting to uncork and have a big right hand.
I do like the pump fakes Presher's hitting down. He's looking for a setup, not just a punch.
He just shot through him right there. Didn't even really touch the legs.
Yeah, that was a linebacker tackle there.
Yeah.
Now top half guard, hard to deal with. Your hips are locked down and they're covering on top.
Yeah, I think Presher is the fresher fighter here going into the third round, just based on body language. Manuel did a good job again recovering full guard. But at this point in the fight, they're so sweaty and a bit fatigued. To hit a submission off your back in round 3 is a very, very tall order.
And I would be shocked if Garcia's legs fit around his shoulder and head.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing any triangles or gogoplatas.
No. He's throwing these short shots from the bottom. I know that those can be annoying, but you're not really torquing your hips into those. So other than a pop, you're not really causing too much damage. A minor annoyance, if anything.
Yeah, I think it's like you're limited on what your options are. You're trying to stay active. Yeah, they're usually pretty futile. I'll tell you, you guys go back and watch Brad Ortega versus Tavares, Brad Tavares, and Ortega slices him open from bottom guard so bad it'll blow your mind. That's like the best case scenario in terms of visual aid on how to do damage from bottom guard.
Nothing more frustrating when you're on top and then suddenly you're bleeding from an elbow that you don't understand how it landed.
Notice Manuel built his base. I mean, last step here is to stand up and get that right leg on the outside of Cameron's left leg. He stayed a little too long and ended up giving up some back exposure. That was the right move, but him stalling there on his knee.
Using the opportunity to stand up off of him letting the body lock go and going for that arm over the chin.
Again, good effort here from Manuel, but I don't think it's going to be enough to win. These knees from his back being on the cage.
I'd like to see him again turn around in one of these options off of the attack. Use the attack to spin your back off the cage and put your own pressure in. As we can see, though, it doesn't look like Presher wants to be pressured at all.
Yeah, he's keeping a hard grind here on Manuel. Looking for another double leg is Presher. He's got enough time. He's got to get his hands together. If he wants to really try to hit a launch and lift here, he's going to have to really change levels and lock those hands.
Not exactly sure what Garcia was doing. Looked like he was
Smiling
giving some
for a
hand
second
signals
there
to his coaches over there, but almost cost him the position.
It's one of those things where you want to listen to your coaches, but you're in there by yourself. You got to make those choices on your own.
Yeah, one of the craziest ones we saw in Fury is one time a guy gets rocked, and the ref is like, protect yourself. And he looks at the ref, he's like, I'm not hurt. And as he looks at the ref, he gets hit and dropped and knocked out. It was wild. Like, why even talk to the ref? They tell us in the back not to talk to him. 20 seconds left.
You know, honestly, very good work from Cameron Presher, but Manuel has no quit in him.
No.
He's constantly looking to improve, constantly trying to figure out a way. Even a little guillotine plus knee right there option, front headlock plus knee option right there.
Nice. Very active, fatigue-driven 15 minutes out of these guys.
And you see Manuel kind of shrugging his arms. I think he knows that, you know, Presher kind of edged him out.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You know,
That was the biggest moment for Garcia in the fight. You know, he big looping right hand, landed right behind the ear. Didn't seem to have much pressure, didn't seem to phase Cameron Presher.
No. And you know, trying to just chip away.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a 30-27 unanimous decision here. There could be a judge that gave maybe the second round to Garcia because of that ninja choke, but I think the rest of the round was pretty telling.
Yeah. You know, Presher looked good. You know, I was actually kind of looking forward to seeing the 15 minutes of kickboxing, but it looks like he decided maybe he didn't want to deal with those big giant hooks coming from Manuel, which I think is a smart play. You know,
yeah, Manuel Garcia, Jake, I'm looking forward to seeing Manuel go down in weight class.
Yeah.
I just think at 5'6", these guys are just too tall, too big, and not. You know, he did some damage today. He fought well. He went the distance against a giant middleweight. I'm looking forward to seeing him at 170 and maybe even lower than that. If he can get down to 175 and just walking around weight, 155 may be good. Let's make it official with Wayne Leggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for your decision. brought to you by Live Oak, Texas Vodka. With scores of 30-27, 29-28, and 29-28, your winner by unanimous decision, Cameron Presher.
Cameron Presher is your winner by unanimous decision. 2 judges seeing the second round for Garcia. Very interesting. Alex Morono gonna have a talk with Cameron Presher real quick.
Hi guys, I'm here with your winner, Cameron Presher. Cameron, a hard fought 15 minutes. You looked great out there. How you feeling right now?
I feel good. The game plan was, take him down, beat him up quick, but he was tough today. He wouldn't stay down. And it's a lot more action than I thought.
Yeah, Manuel is definitely a hard guy to put away. We knew that coming in. This fight was at a catchweight, 195 pounds. What weight class can we see you in next?
185. We'll try 185 again.
Man, you're a true middleweight. You're a big middleweight. When do you want to fight again?
Shit, whenever y'all have me. I'm ready. Let's go.
Man, you're always putting on great fights. Congratulations. Your winner, Cameron Presher.
Congratulations to Cameron Presher and 4 ounce. And a solid performance on both fighters. Cameron Presher able to get it out and find that victory.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Alex, as you were in there, we were talking about how I'm looking forward to seeing Garcia go down in weight class. Just with his height, fighting at 185, even at 195, 185. The guys are just too big and too tall. I'm really looking forward to seeing him at 170 and then maybe at 155 because he said he wants his walking around weight to be 175. So,
I mean, yeah, he would have a lot more success with his already strong skill set, just with more appropriate physical matchups. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, on the same end, so much respect to a guy like that looks at that mountain in front of him and says, I'm going to go fight that guy.
Yeah, in it to win it, too. I mean, I like his mindset a lot.
Man, and you look at guys like, he fought at heavyweight. You look at guys like, he could have been matched up against Miles Banks.
Yeah.
6'7", Miles Banks, 265 pounds against 5'6". This is what a heart and what a gritty fighter Manuel Garcia is. If nothing else, that dude can fight here as long as he wants to. He keeps taking fights like that.
Yeah, and as a professional, he was 2-1. He had a good record. He's fought James Ford and then now Cameron Presher. He's fought some super tough dudes here. Puts him at, 2-4 now, but still, good record coming in. The guy does have a good potential future so long as he get the weight class kind of information on lockdown.
Yeah, Alex, we talked about the roster before on Fury, and we're getting to where every single weight class has, there's no easy fights. Even the guys that are debuting, we saw it earlier with Joe Hendershot.
100%.
We saw it earlier with Rosaroso. Even though in that loss, he had some great moments. A full training camp, that's another challenging fight for somebody else. Plus from a big 155 or a big 145 and a regular size 155 guy.
Yeah, Rosaroso, he was 5-1 as an amateur, Joe 6-1. And Rosaroso had a win over Ezekiel Cates, who Joe fought for and beat for the belt. So it was like the one guy who beat, the guy who Joe was fighting for, super high level. We know we always have hard matches going into Fury. That's what makes this organization so great.
Yeah, and even on the undercard, look at the featured fight today, Damien Anderson, who, if you don't know who Damien Anderson is, he goes by Demon Hands, but he is one of the best grapplers in the world, but believes that much in his hands, offering people his own purse. I'll give you my purse if you beat me.
Just to fight.
Making those offers just to fight because people are scared of the grappling game. He has no plans of taking this fight to the ground.
Yeah, he trains at a B team. Is there self-notice, the second best team in the world? Those guys all competing here pretty soon at CGII, which, it's a crazy firestorm in the jiu-jitsu community. It really is.
Yeah.
And even our next fight coming up, we have Zach Hinson versus Anaya. What's funny is Jake fought Hinson, one of our guys. Also, Cody Owens fought Hinson. One of my guys, Daniel, fought Anaya. So we've actually done a lot of tape study and quartered against both guys. They're fighting here now. This is going to be a really fun fight coming up.
Yeah, Alex is the MMA encyclopedia, in case y'all haven't picked that up. He remembers every detail of everything that's happened in every event in the history of mankind. Let's go to our next fight. Let's go in there to Wayne Leggett.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Eduardo Anaya.
Eduardo Anaya, 26 years old, fighting out of Metro Fight Club. Has a win over CJ Jimenez by armbar. Lost in his last fight by Kimura to Brandon Moran. But 4-3 as an amateur. Now 7 fights into his pro career. Pretty salty veteran for a 7-fight guy.
Yeah, he's got a big frame on him. He used to fight at 135. I believe this fight's at 145, if I'm not mistaken. He's very tall and long. He trains with, you see some other Manayanas there in his corner. He's got a really good team behind him. And he's been doing this for a very long time. I remember watching him as an amateur. He's much younger then. But, he's had to have been in the mix, 10 years, if not more. So he's very seasoned. In that CJ Jimenez fight, it was a wild fight. I think Jimenez maybe dropped him, and then from guard blocked up a triangle, and then finished an armbar. It was wild.
It's one of those things where, and we've talked about this before, Alex, is you don't get guys that are going to come in here and just try to throw overhand rights and finish a fight. Everyone's so technical, even on the amateur level. And again, this is an all-pro card, which is one of those, just a testament to the city of Houston. We're putting out a lot of fighters with a lot of skill. These gyms have been around long enough where they're giving the right guys opportunity, not anybody an opportunity.
Eduardo Anaya's in the cage. Let's go in and meet his opponent.
Please welcome Zach Henson to the red corner.
Zach Hinson, 5'8", fighting out of Elite MMA. Started his pro career with a split draw at Fury FC 18, and then went on a 3-fight win streak after that.
Yeah, Zach Henson, black belt, really awesome guy. Not only have I fought him on the amateur level, but I also went against him on the Submission Hunter Pro Series as well. So he's, very, very high-level grappler, comes out of a good gym, also nothing but respect for a father to walk out with his kid on Father's Day for his MMA fight.
Yeah, that's cool. Zach Hinson was retired, came out of retirement to fight Gunnar Coronado about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Did great, got the win, and turns out that was not a one-off post-retirement fight. He wants to stay active, and that fight was not that long ago.
No.
As we see him coming in the cage. This is so fun. This is a fight, Eduardo Anaya versus Zach Hinson. I didn't think we'd ever get to see. This is a fight we could have seen 8 or 9 years ago on the amateur circuit. It's just cool to see these guys, tying up so down the road as professionals, and honestly, pretty experienced professionals.
I also know Zach really holds himself to a high standard. He won his last fight, and he was actually a little frustrated at himself. He was like, oh man, I thought I was going to do better, finish the guy earlier. He's like, I love guys holding themselves to that standard. Also, make sure you congratulate yourselves when you guys get wins and finishes.
Here's a tale of the tape. 36-year-old Zach Henson versus 26-year-old Eduardo Anaya. Both guys made weight at 145 weight limit. 6 foot for Eduardo Anaya, 5'7" for Henson, with a 70-inch reach, a 1-inch reach advantage over Zach Henson. Brought to you by Howlerhead Whiskey. Let's go in here and get this thing going with Wayne Leggett.
The following contest, brought to you by Howlerhead Whiskey, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Featherweight Division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. This mixed martial artist stands 6 feet tall, and he weighed in at 146 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, today he looks for his 4th win as a pro. Here is Eduardo Anaya. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, and he weighed in officially at 145.8 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, his professional record stands at 3 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Here is Zach Henson. Your referee in charge, Jeff Rexroad.
Jeff Rexroad with the assignment today. Zach Henson and Eduardo Anaya.
Glove touch to start things out. Mutual respect. Always love it.
So yeah, Hinson's got a very much so double leg, stay on top, take your back style, whereas Eduardo Anaya, good Darce chokes from a front headlock, really good active closed guard submission style game. Both guys proficient on the feet though. Oh, nice body kick there from Hinson. If I had to take a guess on who'd look to wrestle first, I'd say Hinson just stylistically. It's a bit of a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And also the taller stance of Anaya would probably, lend to that.
Anaya's taking that ring control and backing Zach up. really patient with his hands and feet. Doing that knee pump to kind of get the reaction. And there's that first takedown attempt from Henson.
Yeah, Hinson's one of those guys, once he's on you, it's hard to get him off. See, Anaya maybe thinking about a Kimura, but he was more so just trying to deny that crossface.
Henson's just kind of getting that pressure started. That's, again, one of those things where he's, as the fight goes, the more pressure that he gets, the more tired his opponent gets, he's going to be just shining through that.
Maybe a head and arm choke attempt here for Zach Hinson. I mean, that's figure four. This is like that Rotullo, kind of like Darce choke from the back. I mean, this will choke anyone to sleep.
Yep. Oh, it looks like he added a little knee to the butt.
So you got to lock the choking arm behind the head. You can tap someone. You can put someone to sleep from here.
Yeah, it looks like he may be getting close to doing that. Lost the choke.
But ended up
back.
getting the back, exactly. Speaking of which, one of the Rotullo brothers just made their MMA debut. Got a rear naked choke in his fight. I remember I got to see them with you, Mike, at a ADCC a couple years back, and man, they kind of stole the show.
Yeah,
been
they
a fan
did.
of those young brother martial artists for very thoroughly since then.
And I believe one of them's fighting Mikey Musameshi for the belt
yeah.
as well. I believe that's here going to be in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things going on in the grappling world. A lot of exciting things going on in the MMA world.
It's a great time for martial arts. It really is.
Looks like Henson's trying to get that rear naked choke locked in, but Edwards keeping his chin tucked pretty well.
So yeah, even if the chin is tucked, if you can figure four your arms and then hide the top hand behind the head, you can kind of take your time to let the choking arm fall into position.
Well, not just that, there's no comfort in that position until it gets under the chin either.
Yeah, we saw Habib tap Connor with that, modified palm to palm over the chin. But even yesterday, a little ankle lock, foot lock attempt here from Eduardo Anaya to Zach Hinson. We actually saw this finish a fight in Fury about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Only time I've ever seen it in MMA. I've pulled it off in jiu-jitsu. Fun fact, my first tournament as a white belt that I had won a match. I was getting creamed by some wrestler, but leg locked him when he took my back.
I'm actually surprised Henson's crossing his feet. I got to tell you, when we fought each other, I crossed my feet on his back. He went for that ankle lock. I could not walk correctly for a week. My calf was so sore after.
Yeah, he still has so much time to work to Zach Hinson.
Again, this is one of those situations where Zach is not really using a lot of energy and just zapping his opponent.
Yeah, Eduardo and I staying patient, staying calm, but definitely being ridden out right now. This is his best rally at a get-up.
Nice get-up from Eduardo.
Oh, maybe can he lock it? Nah, he's got to get Zach's head under that right choking arm. I mean, yeah, there's no choke attempt. His head was too high.
You can see he's thinking about it, trying to kind of tuck things through.
And he's pushed the elbow down and get his head across his body the other way, and that's going to lock up the choke. It's going to be very difficult because Zach is surely going to see that coming.
I'd like to see him go ahead and switch up to an underhook and kind of lift Zach back up. And we don't want Zach getting too hard in on those hips, just like that. You got a guillotine attempt.
This is a better attempt. This is a high elbow. And this is now this is the ninja choke, but Zach's going cross body.
You know, Zach is a black belt, so he's very savvy to all of these situations. He's going to be able to react well.
Yeah, and he pretty consistently shoots double legs in all of his fights. So you know he's doing a lot in the training room, so I'm sure he's very used to anti-guillotine routing. One time, one of my students started wrestling, and I was like, "Hey, in jiu-jitsu class, what wrestling moves are you hitting the most?" And they were like, "I don't really shoot because everyone keeps going for guillotines. You know, how do I stop?" And I was like, "You don't stop the attempt. You just stop the positioning. Trap the legs, go cross body. It's actually pretty easy to do. It's not very comfortable, but it's pretty, at least it's very historically routed."
I'll tell you this, I go for a double leg on Alex every single time we grapple, and I get out of the guillotines because I'm not going to not double leg.
Only some of the times.
Here we go for first round highlights. From what we see, I mean, mostly Zach Hinson here after this takedown. Never gave up top position until that ninja choke attempt. What do you guys think?
I think it's a pretty clear Hinson round, 10-9, not a lot of damage done, but striking was pretty even. He got the ground control. And, you know, the way they score it is the first basis of scoring is effective striking and grappling, but it could also be awarded as effective grappling and striking. And the striking was relatively neutralized, and the grappling, albeit not very damage heavy, was in the controlling aspect of Zach Hinson.
See Eduardo open up with a little jump kick. And again, taken right to that ring control. That's like loading those kicks up. I'd like to see him set it up a little bit.
It's a nice little, like, you know, question mark kick there from Anaya.
Alex, I remember when I was fighting, if I, you know, in sparring, you're wearing shin guards, if my coach would, if I threw a kick without setting it up with a punch, he would stop it, make me do push-ups until he said stop, and then get back up and continue with the round.
Yeah. It's a great way to beat a bad habit.
Yeah, never threw a kick without a jab in front of it, ever.
Nice.
I didn't care if they were a mile away. It was
Yep.
You can see Eduardo's now kind of picked up on those no setup kicks, and he's kind of looking for those counter shots right on the outside.
Yeah, both guys. Oh, nice high kick there.
High kick.
It was good. Eduardo's left hand was up. Both guys have picked up their volume on the striking.
You know, I do know that, again, Zach really holds himself to a high standard, so maybe the grappling and not being able to get the finish in the first kind of frustrated him a little bit, and he said, I'll set it up with a little bit more striking this time. Looks like he really wants to land a little bit more before he wrestles.
Yeah,
As I say that, he drops and change levels right into a double leg.
Yeah, I mean, they both landed their best shots so far in this second round.
Eduardo's still in the seated position, so he has that opportunity to kind of push himself through, dig those underhooks, and try to hit his get up. I'd like to see Zach scoop his butt off that cage.
Yeah, if you can flatten them, it makes getting up so much harder.
And then right there, we get our get up.
And Alex, I tell new people this all the time. You know, I don't teach much anymore, but one of the things I do teach is that, you know, if people ask me questions about how do you defend, and if it's a choke, I tell everybody, you defend chokes with position. So you don't necessarily have to have a defense. You have to be, you know, get in a better position, become unchokeable, and then your defense goes from there. You know, if somebody tries a Kimura on you, somebody tries you know, something like that, there's a defense for that and there's a counter for that. But for a choke, you know, it's defend, and if you're, you know, out of position, or if you're in position where you can't be choked, then you can use your hands. It's a lot easier to get up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see guys that try to focus on only hand fighting, and then, you know, it's just a battle of attrition. Who's going to give up on the hand fighting first?
Well, not just that. In jiu-jitsu, we'll do it all day. But remember, I mean, as you guys know, in between those hand fighting, you're eating a few punches.
Yeah, or short elbows.
Yeah.
Henson's hands are a little low. I'd like him to pick him up a little bit. There we go.
That's a good right hand. Nice little check there from Eduardo Anaya, though.
You know, Eduardo's had that ring control. He's really pressuring and keeping Zach on that back foot.
Oh, nice. And I'll tell you, Eduardo got up pretty quick from that takedown attempt from Hinson earlier. This is one of those rounds where if Anaya can keep his active striking and his pressure going, he can win this round.
Looks like Zach may have wanted to complain about a low blow, but I think he shook it off.
Yeah, I think he noticed the ref wasn't going to stop it.
Yeah. And then you see Eduardo's getting more and more comfortable starting to throw those short hooks.
Yeah, he's throwing that hook to the body a bit. Notice when Hinson goes southpaw, he's digging that lead hook to the body. There it was again.
Oh, that was a good right hand from Hinson. Excuse me, left.
Now looks like you see the mouthpiece showing for Hinson, the mouth wide open.
You know, I know actually Hinson has always fought with those double breather mouth guards. His entire career, he's always had that same mouthpiece. Maybe not the same mouthpiece, but the same style. Doesn't really let you kind of close your mouth.
Anaya in with a big takedown of his own.
You know, that's kind of one of those things where he didn't really pick him up as much as he used his height to just stand up straight and get Henson's feet off the ground.
That was a good finish. That was a close round. I think Eduardo Anaya takes this second round.
Yeah. And I think a little bit of the first round grappling kind of zapped Zach a little bit more than it may have zapped Eduardo.
Yeah. It's very unofficially 1-1 going into 3.
Yeah, we noticed, here's the highlights from round 2. We noticed between rounds 1 and 2, Anaya standing, Zach Hinson on there, you know, Anaya looking like the fresher fighter even here going into the 3rd round, but both guys landing well.
Beautiful
big
right hand from
Zach Hinson.
That landed off the chin. Props to Eduardo for eating it, so.
Literally just, again, got tall and was able to get his feet off the ground and scoop him over. It's one of those things where he wasn't using the power of a body lock slam. He was using the position of his underhooks and the length of his legs.
It's a good little cut right on the bridge of the nose of Eduardo Anaya. We see that on the cam right here. I'll tell you, last week was some of the most outrageous Fury fights I've ever seen. So many brutal knockouts and cuts. Props to the Fury cutmen. They had such a busy night last weekend, and they all did excellent jobs. Jake, you're one of the guys. Jake's eyelid got split open, and that cut man stopped it. I mean, masterfully. It was great.
Yeah. And if you guys can't tell, I already have my stitches out. The cut is already sealed up, and I'm still looking just as pretty.
The Fury crew was really on their A game last week.
Yeah, I was sorry I missed it. I was covering the basket weaving championships, apparently.
He'll let us all know.
Everhill covering the chess world championships, we'll say. Or checkers. He's not smart enough for chess. Now, Raheel Ramzanali will be here for the UFC Fight Pass card coming up at 4:30.
Shot attempt for Zach, and the follow-through was really good on that. It's one of these things about these guys that do have more than a few fights. They find that second wind a lot of the times in the 3rd round. And, you know, they're able to say, you know, maybe the 1st round went well, 2nd round I was a little bit tired, but this 3rd round my lungs are all stretched out. I know what I got to do to win.
Kind of like settling the pace.
Yeah. I also feel like maybe Zach thought to himself in between rounds, I think I was a little too patient with my wrestling in the 2nd round. I need to get back to what's going to win me this fight. And just like that, he makes his way to the back.
Notice how high Anaya's hips were. I was going to say, if he can keep his hips high, he can turn in. It's a great reversal there from Eduardo Anaya.
And just look at that fatal, like one little bit of a mistake on position. And
high elbow guillotine. Full
Eduardo's able to take the position.
And Zach's arm is trapped.
Yeah, that's very, very tight, Alex.
This is deep. This is a good guillotine attempt.
Very good guillotine attempt.
The angle's off. His hands are disconnected, but it's okay. He uses it to get to mount.
They are in mount. Now the short elbows are coming through. Yep.
Little slip elbow right there.
And again, Zach is a savvy grappler, but with a slight amount of fatigue, some decisions can start to get away from us.
He's in a bad spot right here. Anaya's pouring it on him in this 3rd round.
Looks like Anaya's trying to either flatten him out or fit a hand in for the choke. Really, really going like that volley from, I'm going to either flatten you out or I'm going to get my arm in. And he has that body triangle also locked up. And again, we were talking about that earlier. It's very uncomfortable and hard to breathe when you're in those body triangles.
Oh, man, if he can get that hand behind the head and lock it behind the occipital bone right in the back of the skull. I learned that from a student recently. It's that little knot right where your spine meets your skull. Sometimes I'll try to wedge my knuckles behind that so guys can't hand fight.
Switching sides on the choke attempt.
Henson's going to push up on the elbow.
You know, Henson's staying very patient. That's that black belt showing through. He knows what he needs to do to escape. He's putting the small little bits of defensive measures in and then trying to set up a way to spin through.
So there is the foot lock. It's pretty inconsistent, but what Hinson can do is step his right leg over Anaya's right foot and then bridge and then push his left knee down, and it just crushes the ankle. But Eduardo's so tall and gangly, I doubt it would afflict him as bad as, you know, somebody similar to Hinson's height.
when you see Henson throwing those punches from the back, not doing a ton of damage, but what it is doing is it's a slight annoyance to create that little bit of space you need to spin yourself through. And I'm a fan of this myself. I've done it myself. But it is a small window of opportunity.
I mean, he's got to be really diligent on not getting rear naked choked right here. I mean, obviously, but that choke in hand has been in position for quite some time.
Yeah, Anaya relentless on the back here. And you got to think, this is an Anaya round so far. I mean, Zach Hinson, there's got to be some urgency in him getting up. We had it unofficially at 1 round apiece coming into the 3rd round. And this is, pretty clearly an Eduardo Anaya round. Zach Hinson's got to get to his feet somehow.
You see him starting to get his shoulders through. Man, that body triangle is going to be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it is. There's such little time left. I think Eduardo Anaya really. Oh man, that's under the chin. Oh, that is under the chin.
And he's got short hand, and now he's got it behind the head.
That's very tight.
20 seconds is a long time. Oh man, can Zach push the elbow out of position? All right, it's off. Man, look at that.
Wow.
Sometimes you hear that 10-second clacker, and you know you're not going to tap.
Man,
awesome fight from both fighters. It looks like, Anaya was able to really take control. It looked like a little bit of the first round kind of affected Henson for, his energy level. I think he tried to go back to the wrestling in the 3rd round to try to seal the deal, but sometimes when that fatigue sets in, it's hard to pull back out.
I was going to say, I think this is Eduardo Anaya, being the pressure fighter from the 2nd round on. Maybe the better grappler got the best of the grappling in the 1st round, and then Eduardo Anaya kind of being the pressure fighter, I think he was able to take advantage of that.
Now, I know we 3 all unofficially scored it for Anaya in round 2, but Hinson did get the takedown early. The striking was active on both sides. There's this could, this one could go either way. We'll see what the judges are feeling tonight.
There's also a pretty good cut on Anaya's nose. It looks like a pressure split. I don't remember when it happened, but it could have been from those short elbows that Zach was throwing.
Yeah, and remember, Alex, we saw in the last fight Garcia get a couple of judges to give him a round in one of those, and we thought it was a pretty clear 30-27, and it was because of those submission attempts. So, this is one of those nights where this could go either way.
Yeah.
Very close fight. Let's go inside to Wayne Leggett and make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for your decision. Brought to you by Live Oak Texas Vodka. All 3 judges scored the fight 29-28, declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Eduardo Anaya.
Eduardo Anaya is your winner. Gonna go inside and have a chat with him is Alex Morono.
All right, guys, I'm here with your winner, Eduardo Anaya. Eduardo, you've been in the mix a long time. This fight was at 145 pounds. Is this a new weight class for you?
I believe so. Cutting to 35 was just a little too much for me. And this little guy's the reason right here why I'm still doing it. Otherwise, I would have been done a long time ago. But as for now, this might be it for a bit. I promised my fiance Madison that she could get back in here after this fight. So looking forward to her return to this cage.
Man, tremendous performance. You really gutted out the 2nd and 3rd round there, man. Congratulations. What's your young one's name?
Noah.
Cool, Noah. Well, we know you're wishing your dad a happy Father's Day. Congratulations, your winner, Eduardo Anaya.
Really, really awesome.
Yeah, really cool to see all the fathers holding their kids, coming out with their kids today. Eduardo Anaya is your winner. We're going to take a little intermission here, but so far so good, guys. We've had some fights go We've had fights go the distance. We've had some fights almost go the distance, but everything's filled the time pretty well today. We only had 4 fights on the undercard, only a 10-minute intermission, so I'm pretty happy about that. We're going to come back to you in just a few minutes. We're going to take about a 9 or 10-minute break, and we will be back on live for Damien Anderson and Marcelo Reyes. Stay tuned.
Please welcome Marcelo Reyes to the blue corner.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, back underway. Fury Fighting Championship 92. This is our featured bout, the last bout of the prelims. Marcelo Reyes making his pro debut against Damien Anderson. And Damien Anderson is known as Demon Hands, but the Demon Hands belong actually to Marcelo Reyes. 5-0 as a pro boxer with 4 knockouts, 32-2 as an amateur boxer, and 3-0 as an amateur MMA guy. So this is not a pushover opponent for the highly touted and very talented Damien Anderson.
Yeah, we got Isaac Moreno in his corner. You know, I think the biggest question is how will Reyes' grappling hold up in this fight. I mean, he's got everything anyone can ever hope for in a striking resume, credentialed as a debuting pro. I mean, that's serious. That's serious action right there.
Yeah. Yeah, classic striker versus grappler matchup. You know, Damien Anderson takes a lot of pride in his hands. It'll be interesting to see if he exchanges with Reyes. I mean, Reyes is a savvy and, you know, a hard-hitting boxer. I mean, if you can knock somebody out 4 times out of 5 fights with, you know, 16, 14-ounce gloves on, that's saying something.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a good athletic build to him as well.
It's literally my favorite version of fights.
Reyes is in the cage. Let's meet his opponent.
Please welcome to the red corner, Damien Anderson.
You know, anytime we get these guys, the striker versus the grappler, I'm always wondering what was their process in camp. Did they wrestle hard the whole camp to be able to counter wrestle, or did they focus on their style? Are they just doing what they do best, training for that striking style? And then, you know, obviously it's an MMA fight. We're going to have to get a little bit of that counter wrestling going. But, you know, with such a high-level grappler, do you focus more on grappling and wrestling in camp, or you just make sure that your hands are on point, your movement is on point, and your takedown defense is on point?
I mean, my guess is he has done a lot of grappling. You'd have to. I think it's really the takedown defense and the wrestling that's going to play the biggest factor here. I don't care how much jiu-jitsu scenario work you do. When you're fighting somebody who's as skilled a grappler as Damien, you're just not going to get better than them in a fight camp. What you can do is shut down their ability to get you down to the ground.
Yes. Here's our tale of the tape. Damien Anderson, 27 years old, 24 for Marcelo Reyes. Both guys made the 145 weight limit. Both 5'7", but Damien Anderson with a 72-inch reach versus 69 for Marcelo Reyes, a 3-inch reach advantage. You know, Alex, Damien Anderson, as you know, he's not just a good grappler. He is one of the best grapplers in the world and one of the most exciting grapplers in the world. This is going to be very, very interesting. Let's go inside here and get it started with Wayne Leggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest brought to you by SheathUnderwear.com is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Featherweight Division. Introducing your first competitor, fighting out of the blue corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, and he weighed in at 144 pounds. Fighting out of West Laco, Texas, by way of Holland, Michigan, today he makes his professional debut. Here is Marcelo T800 Reyes. And introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, and he weighed in officially at 145.8 pounds. Fighting out of Austin, Texas, by way of North Brunswick, New Jersey, his professional record stands at 1 win, no losses. Here is Damien Demon Hands Anderson. Your referee in charge of the action, JJ Ferraro.
JJ Ferraro always keeping it serious in the cage. I've had the pleasure of having him as my ref many times. Starting out good with some striking.
Yeah, sharp little lead hook there from Reyes. Staying nice and low.
Again, both fighters very patient, finding their way in slowly with those straight punches.
Alex, you mentioned Isaac Moreno in the corner of Marcelo Reyes. Is Isaac Moreno going to come back and fight as a heavyweight? Did you see that guy?
Yeah, I talked to him in the back. I was asking when he was going to fight again. Oh,
Ooh.
big kick there from Demon Hands. Hit right on like the rib cage.
Oh,
nice
another little front kick up the middle.
Yeah, Moreno said he'd like to be back later this year. Be great to see him.
Yeah, I spoke to him as well. He said he's 215 pounds. And to remind you, Isaac Moreno fights at 155. He is a big, big man.
I think he fought at welterweight, 170.
Oh, did he?
He did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If there's anything I've learned over the years, it's stay closer to the weight class.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Isaac. He told me his dad had a stroke, and and he was tending to him for part of this year, and then also opened a gym, and I was really, really happy about that. He's having a lot of fun training fighters and getting some of these up and comers up.
Yeah, good for him.
Damien Anderson's looking real comfortable on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, he landed a nice 1-2. He's throwing some great feints, really keeping his feet planted underneath him.
His movement's looking really good. He's not getting cut off on the cage.
And he's not tried to shoot once. So I was curious if he was going to just try to insta-grapple, but the answer is no. He believes in his demon's hands. It's really cool.
It's one thing about these guys with a lot of boxing experience is they are so patient because they understand the process of getting that movement and timing down.
Yeah, and they're fast with their hand speed. Because I've never trained with a pro boxer, just it's all they do. Just refine their punching game. Oh,
anything when I train and I'm like, I'm just going to box today, I get so tired because I'm just throwing hands. My shoulders are just burning out immediately. But those boxers can just do 12 rounds
all day.
nonstop.
No problem. It's crazy. Notice the patience there of Reyes. Not wasting any extra energy.
About halfway through the round. I'd like to see Marcelo kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't think he wants to overswing and risk getting hit with a level change in a double leg. Being very calculated on the strikes. Damien's staying right on the outside well. He's throwing hard. He's really using that 1-2 and that 3-2 is Anderson. And he's finding a home with that straight left.
Alex, Damien, another one of those guys that they're having a really hard time finding fights for. He's offering his purse to people if they beat him. I mean, just anything just to get on these cards, and well aware of the reputation and the road to the UFC. Lately has gone through Fury Fighting Championships and a few other regional promotions like it, but Fury Fighting Championship, a lot of eyes on us.
It's one thing to say a statement is, I'm not fighting for money. I'm fighting for wins, my legacy as a fighter. That's something that I always want to think about when I'm fighting. I'm fighting for fun. I'm fighting not for a paycheck, but for the glory of getting my hand raised. And when you make a statement like, if you beat me out, you can have my whole fight check.
Yeah.
That is something that says to somebody, I am here for glory and glory only.
Yeah, I mean, a real martial artist's mindset. And one thing about the right mindset is Marcelo Reyes. He did not hesitate to take this fight. He's like, I know who he is. I'll fight him. Eric was telling me that I did not hesitate. And that's the mindset you have to have. You have to believe in yourself to beat anyone no matter what. And both these guys have the same mindset. That's why we're seeing such a good competitive fight. Here's our featured prelim. Nice, good left hand. Big kick. Damien's so explosive.
Now, I will tell you, one of those things about shaking off the punches, it, to me, does show that it actually did land, and you're trying to confuse me.
I think sometimes it's also like a self-affirmation thing. The guy's like, telling some nope, didn't land. Or you're telling your opponent, even in my last fight, I slipped off of a knee, and even I popped up and gave a big thumbs up to let the judges know that strike didn't land. I had just slipped.
I remember a fight way back in the day with Alex Moreno where the guy punched him in the chest, thought he landed the big punch, and Alex literally pointed at his chest and said, buddy. Yeah. That's one of those signals where you're like, hey, man, that didn't land.
Yeah.
Those I do like.
You're not getting any fake points on my watch.
Yeah.
Man, what a wild first round. Very competitive. Hard to score. I think Damien landed the more quality strikes with the left hand. Reyes pressured him. I think the angle of the judge honestly plays a pretty important role. This fight was a lot more competitive and on the feet than I thought. Some big kicks. I think it was the explosive nature of Damien Anderson's strikes that was maybe the, the difference in how to score these guys' activity and techniques.
Yeah, I want to see if they show it, but Damien Anderson pointed to the ground here, and then
There it was, yeah.
there it was, pointed to the ground here, and then landed a 3-punch combination, and all 3 landed.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, beautiful job there. And I got to wonder, Alex, is Marcelo Reyes holding back just a little bit because he was expecting to defend grappling in the first round?
I mean, and yeah, it looks like it. Usually boxers at their weight class are known for volume, cutting angles, and then more volume.
One thing about boxers, though, is they're so patient. And sometimes they're doing all of their reads in the first round so they can open up in the second. I mean, look at the boxing match last night. The first few rounds were lost, but what happened in the 8th round? The 8th round, he found those power shots because he got comfortable.
I mean, I can't believe Damien didn't shoot once. I mean, what a arsenal of attacks to have, some of the best grappling in the cage. Nice step and knee.
Beautiful knee.
But only rely on your striking.
Yeah, I know a black belt. He fights in the UFC. He's got amazing grappling, but he loves to throw down. His name's Alex Morono.
Nice, good combination there from Damien Anderson. He's kind of complaining about an eye poke, but there's a good chance those were all punches. We'll have to see the replay, but Damien landed really well.
Damien is so quick in and out of the pocket. His hands are so fast, and it's just not something you see from someone that we know that's based in grappling. It's just, it's pretty unbelievable to see.
And we've seen some really good high-level grapplers here. Like Sam Kilmer's a good example, great grappling, but tries to instantly get the fight to the ground. Manshir Kara, great grappling, gets the fight to the ground, gets finishes. Man, Damien Anderson's looking to just stand and trade. Really fan and promoter-friendly style.
It's one of those situations where you're like, I have this black belt so that people don't shoot on me.
Yeah, man. Nice. Notice how he hit the little 2-3-2 and then got right out of dodge right before that counter right hand landed.
Yeah, so quick in and out of the pocket and effective when he's in and takes no damage on the way out. Very, very nice. Ooh. And, I mean, that Damien knows that this guy's a professional boxer. And so, he came in here and, I mean, he's going to box with him. He's going to outbox the boxer. You can see that was his mindset coming into this.
It's one of those things where, again, it surprises Reyes so much that maybe he's kind of struggling to call the audible and realizing this is going to be a striking match, not a grappling match.
I mean, honestly, I think Reyes is trying to land clean. Right there, he tried to step in range and just got tagged with a big punch as Damien cuts a huge angle right back to the center. I think it's less about wanting to let go and now more about not being able to reach and land clean on the previously known grappler, now striker, Damien Anderson. He really is looking sharp right now.
I'd like to see Reyes kind of put the combos together. It looks like he's looking for a 1 or 2 punch entry. Maybe if he puts a little more down the line with these combos.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he needs. He definitely needs to try to land the 3rd and 4th punch. But I'll tell you, Damien's just countering and circling really well. I think Damien's positioning is really hard to read.
Also, these kicks are snapping through. They're beautifully set up, and they are landing. Even on the guard, those still hurt, guys. Let me tell you, you start to feel that through your forearms.
Yeah, it's funny now that I look at Damien's shorts. He trains at an Ambush Muay Thai, one of the better Thai gyms in the Texas area. They've always put out high-level fighters. One of the few teams that has a lot of strict Muay Thai fighters as well. Kind of explains the ferocious kicks and explosive nature here of Damien Anderson.
Yeah, I went to train with Damien out in Puerto Rico when DDS was still together, and all those guys in that same room, and it was it was pretty amazing to see all those high-level guys in there. Here we see the first takedown of the fight.
Yeah, equally as explosive as the kicks was the shot.
Reyes started to stuff it as well, but the follow-through from Damien was really good.
Oh, man, these are big shots. These are big shots. He's got the little wrist ride behind the arm. Full back exposure. Oh, man. Oh. Lightning quick on the choke. We're going to see a tap here. I mean, that's deep under the chin. Now, there's the tap. Wow, Damien Anderson.
Beautiful work.
I mean, didn't need more than, 20 seconds of grappling to find that finish. That was awesome.
Wow. Very good work. Very good work.
What a scramble there at the end. I mean, Damien Anderson you know, not only secured the takedown on his first attempt, Jake, but also, I mean, he won those boxing exchanges.
Yeah, I was going to say he had the better striking throughout the fight. He was more crisp. His kicks were on point.
Let's look at these highlights. I mean, but this whole fight was all Damien Anderson. Big knee to the ribs.
You know, yeah, combo work was good. I mean, it was 3 to 4 pieces down the line every time. His exits were good.
Yeah, we saw. I mean, this is a very tough opponent for a debut, but I do think Marcelo Reyes will be back, and you know, I do look forward to seeing, you know, him get in there and bang with somebody that he's not as worried about the takedown with, because you can see it was a little hesitant as far as, you know, when the takedown was going to happen. He tried his hardest to, you know, get under it, but Damien Anderson, not only is he a great grappler, he's so quick, so fast on those takedowns. And, you know, 20 seconds later, after it hits the ground, the fight's over. Let's go make it official with Wayne Leggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee JJ Ferraro calls for a stop to the fight. 3 minutes, 54 seconds into round number 2. Declaring our winner by tap out due to a rear naked choke, Damien Demon Hands Anderson.
Great win for Damien Anderson. Alex Morono is going to give him a talk. Let's go inside.
All right, Damien, a masterful performance. I mean, everyone knows how good of a grappler you are, but your striking was really standing out here in the cage tonight, was displaying that for the world you're playing here tonight.
Yeah, he's a striker, obviously. I really wanted to show my striking, but everybody thought I was going to ambush Muay Thai to learn striking. It's actually a covert sniper school where I was fucking shooting from fucking 10 yards out, killing this man.
Yeah, the striking really was on point. For those who don't know, Marcelo was an undefeated professional boxer. Man, you really did show a tremendous striking arsenal in the first and second round. But man, you got that takedown. You didn't need more than a few seconds to find the submission. Was that ultimately your game plan in this fight?
I mean, everyone knows that if I take the guy down, if I take the striker down, he's going to get finished. I want to show that first round that I'm capable of striking. Everybody told me to grapple the boxer. I wanted to strike with the boxer, show everyone the level of skill that I've acquired over the past couple of years.
Yeah, it really was a tremendous performance. The technique on the feet, on the ground was, I mean, truly almost perfect. When do you want to fight again here in Fury?
I'm fighting again August 2nd. Again, I'm fighting another professional striker. It's a Muay Thai fighter, professional Muay Thai fighter, 6'2", great striking. I'm going to knock him out, watch.
Awesome, cannot wait to see it. Damien Anderson, everybody.
Damien Anderson very confident in his skill, and who could argue with it, Jake?
I got to say that he definitely has demon hands. There's no question behind that.
Yeah, unbelievable undercard. Damien Anderson wins. Joe Hendershot gets the win. Cameron Presher gets the win. Unbelievable undercard. Do not miss us on UFC Fight Pass, only at 4:30. We'll see you there.